Okay, we're live. So welcome everybody. This is another webinar in my series called The Resilient Family. I am Jess Sherman. For those of you who don't know me, I am a holistic nutritionist. I work with families and parents to help them find dietary strategies that work for them, that help them thrive. And I created The Resilient Family series because I really want parents to have more options that reduce the stressors, all of the stressors that are on our bodies all of the time, and improve our body's own ability to heal and to regain balance and health. And that's what I call resilience. A resilient person is able to bring themselves back to balance when they're thrown out of balance. So I'm inviting all kinds of practitioners I've met who have various techniques and various tools to help us as parents, I'm a parent too, to help us raise resilient children. So today I have Katya with me. Katya is a bodytalk practitioner. Before I introduce her, I just want to let you know that all of the Resilient Family webinars are archived on my Raising Resilience membership site, which you can set up. You can join for free from my website, which is www.jesssherman.com, and you can see a link there, and you can get in there, and you can see all of the archived interviews that I've done. This one will be in there as well for future viewing if you want to go back. And I'm just going to go ahead and introduce Katya. She is in, gosh, I can't remember, Burlington, Mississauga? She's in Ontario, Mississauga. Okay. And she's a body talk practitioner. She's also a mom. She's also a holistic nutrition student. And she believes very strongly in the body's ability to regain balance if it's given the tools, if the pathways are clear and you're given the tools to return to balance, that it will do so. And that's what she has seen over and over in her own practice doing body talk. So to be honest, I really don't quite understand what body talk is yet, although I have had lots of clients who have used it and have had remarkable results. So being able to resolve symptoms without the use of medication, which in my books is amazing. If you can have those tools, the more of those tools you have, the better. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Katya, and if you could just introduce yourself a little bit, tell people who you are, and just a kind of basic rundown of what body talk actually is. That would be awesome.
Well, thank you so much for having me today. It's my pleasure to introduce this modality to some of you for the first time. I'm so passionate about this, and it fits right into the scope of resilience and how to create resilience in our own bodies, but also in our families, just to keep them healthy, right? So during this webinar, I'd like you to pick up maybe some few useful tips about health, about looking at our bodies and minds and spirits too in a different way, from a new perspective. But I would also like to show you one quick technique at the end, really useful for bringing your body back into the balance, as you mentioned. Also, what I would like you to get from this webinar is really to get rid of that one word from the vocabulary of medical system, idiopathic. There's no such thing for me as something without a cause. For me, everything has a cause. And I hope you will get that as soon as I'm done talking about the body talk, what it is and how it can fit right into your life, actually. So I'm a body talk practitioner from Mississauga. And I have a practice here, but I also practice, I can do my pretty much the system, body talk system enables us to practice across the world because we work with energy. At the end of the day, it's all energy. So what body talk is a consciousness-based healthcare system. I shouldn't say medical, healthcare system. So what it means is it looks at our bodies and minds from energy perspective. So as a body talk practitioners, we work with this very essence of us, which is ultimately energy. We're just all energy at the end of the day. And through working and balancing the energy flow and removing the energy blockages within the body-mind complex, we are able to make person better, physically, psychologically, emotionally, just like that, as simple as, and as complicated as. So maybe I'll say a little bit about how I got into the system in the first place. What drew me to discovering this method, really. A few years back, when I have two kids, so when my older one was about 4 or 5 years old, all of a sudden he started experiencing major anxiety around school. He wouldn't go to school, he was not happy there. Teacher would call me like middle of the day asking me to pick him up because they just could not control his anxiety. He got to the point when, you know, when they say you have those eat, pray, love moments, I had them weekly. I was like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Like he's so anxious and angry in school, and there's nothing really going on in the house that I could have think of. School was saying, well, maybe, you know, there's something going on there, but I'm like, no, there's really, we're kind of normal family, I would say. Maybe a little bit, well, never mind. But everything was pretty standard. He was a single child, so he had our undivided attention at the time. So there was really nothing that I could have thought about at the time. And yet he was just getting worse and worse. Like he would literally wouldn't like to stay in school. He wouldn't like to go. He would start having major tantrums, violent tantrums, even in the house, as soon as the school was mentioned. So I'm like, okay, this is not good. What can I do? I did go and see the family doctor without any answers. From surprise, surprise. He couldn't really say much about that, except for vaguely suggesting medication without even proper diagnosis. Then I went to see alternative therapists. That didn't help for long either. And so I literally was stuck. I had no way to go. And then all of a sudden I attended this event and this body talker appeared with her protocol chart. As soon as I looked at the protocol chart, which I'll show you in a sec, it kind of made sense to me. It was really interesting to see on one little chart all those items and all those areas that you can actually work on through body talk, it appears. So she started presenting her modality, just like I'm doing today, and I just knew deep inside that this is right. This is what I need. This is what my son needs, first and foremost. And I decided to give it a go. So I booked an appointment with her. I went to see her with him, and she started the session. So she basically just used his arm to get her yeses and nos. And so she was just, you know, talking like, well, I didn't know what she was talking about. She was talking about the energies and chakras and all kinds of stuff. Like, go with it. And then all of a sudden, she started asking him, so how is school? How are your teachers? And he was fine. There's one teacher, like the lady teacher, do you mind telling me her name? So he said, well, it's such and such. And then she says, no, what about your other teachers, another lady teacher? So he mentions her name again. And then she says, that's right, that's the teacher. Do you like her? And she says, yes. And then she turned to me and said, well, his body's not really happy with energy of this person. He's not comfortable with her. So I'm like, okay. So she finished the session. She balanced his attitude or his emotional connection to the teacher. And then as soon as she was done, I got like a light bulb in my head thinking, oh my gosh, that teacher started in that school 6 months prior. And the very first moment my son saw her, he said to me, Mom, I don't like her. But then what are you going to say to your 4 or 5-year-old at the time? Like, well, I'm sure she's nice. I'm sure, you'll have lots of fun together, blah, blah, blah. Well, guess what? He didn't have fun. He didn't have fun. He started having major psychological issues. But then after the session, everything seemed to just disappear. He went back to school, no more phone calls. I got my boy back. He became happy again, happy to go to school, happy to socialize with his friends, happy to be around that teacher. And for me, it was like a miracle, like literally a miracle. So actually, school called me a few weeks later saying, so I see this phone number on display. I'm like, oh, no, not again. But they actually called me to ask me what I did because it's been working so well. So I told them, well, I didn't know much about body talk at the time. So I told them, well, I did this alternative therapy thing and it seems to be working, right? But right after that, I called my practitioner that I went to see and I said, Lena, I don't know what you did, but I need to learn this. And I did. I took courses and I became body talk practitioner. So that's my story.
Okay, I gotta ask you a few questions there. So I have had clients in exactly the same situation as you, parents. They've got their kids, throwing tantrums and unexplained behaviors, can't focus at school, aggression, anxieties. They typically end up with a psychologist or psychiatrist. They get Prozac, and then they get maybe some psychotherapy talk therapy, that sort of thing. And what it sounds like you're saying is that there's a whole nother level to this kind of behavior that has nothing to do with brain chemistry. It has everything to do with just our energetic fields. Do I kind of have that right? Like the energetic fields that we emanate, I guess?
Yes and no. I mean, there's never one thing. There's never one thing. There are different components. Like, for example, in that session, she also balanced his blood sugar levels, like the glucose levels in his, like, so the pancreatic aspect. So that's a very physical thing that she did. And like, for me, not even just as a body talker, but generally as a person, I like to see the whole picture of things. So nutrition plays an important role. Body talk is a piece of that. So emotions, yes, absolutely. Belief systems, but even medical system has its own role to play in the overall big picture. So, but what body talk does is it can lead you into the right direction right away, as opposed to, oh, you're guessing, oh, so maybe he's deficient in this, or maybe there's some emotional blockages. Or body talk works on the premise of priorities. We don't even use we don't diagnose. We don't really use those diagnostic tools like differential diagnosis and so on and so forth for medical system. We don't even actually use the word issue or problem or disease, because that for us, it's just a symptom. It's just a message. It's a messenger actually. So what's the message behind that? Like, and body talk is ingenious in a way that it can actually take you right into the core of problem. So whatever it is, whether it's emotion, whether it's nutrition, whether it's allergies, intolerances, so everything is multi-layered. And body talk is like peeling an onion. A session is like peeling an onion. We get deeper and deeper with every session. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it's fascinating to me, because it's like, we don't see energy, so we don't think it's there, but it's a very, very powerful force, right? And so what I'm hearing you say is that, and I want to hear you talk a little bit more about it. But I also after we talk about this little piece, I want to get into sort of the sciencey stuff to explain how it works, why it works. But just to understand the premise a little bit better, you mentioned that the person you took your son to balanced the energies between your son and this teacher. So does that mean like their energies were clashing and causing symptoms in the body? Because it's fascinating to me that symptoms, physical symptoms like blood sugar you mentioned, can be caused by energy fields being out of whack. Like that's so out there. So I want to talk about the science, but do I have that clear? It's sort of when you say, what do you exactly mean by balancing energy?
Yes. Well, as I said at the beginning, ultimately we're all energy. We're all energy, and the physical world that we think it's real, it's just a denser form of energy, really. So when we balance the energy, it's when you think it's unusual to balance someone to someone's energy, but think about like a phone call that you receive, for example, and the phone call, I don't know, let's say it's a happy one. You won a lottery. How does it make you feel physically? Like what do you experience? You may cry, you may laugh, there's all kinds of chemical, physical reactions going on at that moment when you get that phone call. And yet it had nothing to do with the physical change. Like nobody touched you, nobody did anything. It's the energy of the phone call, it's the energy of the message, it's your energy that is reacting, right? So it was the same kind of deal with my son. And just to make it clear, when we balance the influence of the environment, which is in this case teacher, we don't necessarily do anything with the teacher. We basically discharge, we cut off the emotional charge that the person attaches to a certain time, person, place, activity, event, whatever it is. So we just, because really at the end of the day, it's how you react to things.
So, okay, just want to follow up on that for a second. The way I think of things, I guess, because I don't understand the whole energy world, I know it works because I use homeopathy all the time on my kids, and it totally works, but I don't understand it. Mm-hmm. And body talk, I would say, would be in that category. But like that phone call example, the way I would think about that would be you get a phone call and your perception of what you're hearing creates chemical reactions that influence your nervous system. So you might get like anxious because of something you hear because you're stimulating adrenaline and cortisol, and that's affecting your nervous system and your mood and your thoughts. Mm-hmm. Or it might be the other way around, and some of those nice hormone and endorphin type chemicals are causing different kinds of reactions in your nervous system. So I would say that's not so much hormones, or not so much energy, it's hormones. But you're saying that there's also an energy layer to that as well?
Yes. And it's like when, for example, you go into a room and you pick up the energy of the room, the energy of the people. That's another example of how that can influence you.
That's awesome. That's so cool because I see that in my kids, right? The kids, I think, are particularly sensitive to energy. They walk into a room and it's like they react immediately to the energy. And some adults are like that too, but I think some adults kind of unlearn that a little bit. But some are very intuitive as well that makes a lot of sense. There's an energy thing. Can you talk a little bit more, help us understand like how it's organized, because you showed me a couple of charts and things, and it's like very well organized, and it's rooted in some very real physics and science. Can you share that with us?
Absolutely. So maybe I'll just show you the protocol that we are using, and that will make more sense. So first of all, the body talk is it can be, well, I can say it's an ancient modality in a sense that it's based on those very old medical systems like Chinese medicine and Ayurveda, which we've had for centuries, and they've been working for us quite well. But also it's really new in a way that it puts those old modalities, not just those two, but there are others. It puts it together in a very unique and new way by looking at the principles of those ancient modalities through quantum physics perspective. I know it may be complicated, but just bear with me for a sec. So for the last few centuries, our medical advances has been made based on Cartesian model of thinking. What it means is we have this system, it consists of different parts, and if you take those, if one part is broken, you remove it or you fix it, and the whole system is back to normal again. Well, that's been working for us quite well, making, again, advances in medicine and in science. However, at the beginning of 20th century, this bunch of scientists came up, especially Albert Einstein, and they started thinking in a different way. Basically, 2 + 2 was not 4 anymore, because they discovered that there's something more to this mix. This is not just about, system is not about just individual parts, it's also about connections between them, interactions between them. So that's how, and that's quantum physics. Basically, that's what it is. It's interrelation between those elements. So that's how body talk actually perceives mind and body complex as a dynamic ecosystem, ever changing, connected to within itself and with everything else outside. So ancient modalities taken to the whole new level with quantum physics. So when you look at this protocol, you see it's a combination of ancient, like 5 elements, for example, that's part of Chinese or traditional Chinese medicine, thinking about how energy flows. You also have something that is here, energies, chakras, and those are taken from Ayurveda, from Indian traditional medical system. We also have things like consciousness, which, again, it's not really tangible, but it brings about huge changes when it's distorted. But then you have a very Western way of thinking about things, like here, organs, endocrines, body parts, body chemistry, something physical, something as physical as improving lymph circulation within the body, and or circulation of blood, lymph, or nerve, and even musculoskeletal performance, which is for more like athletes and such. It also has pieces about environment, how it influences us, because it does have influence on us. We're all interconnected, as I said. So that's the protocol of questioning. So we start with permissions. It's very logical, and it's a very, like there's pretty much everything and anything covered here on this protocol, from emotion, consciousness, to through the energies like chakras, meridians, and also belief systems, and very physical things like organs. So it's quite complex and quite comprehensive. So, but first and foremost, body talk, what it does, it honors natural ability of your body to regain balance. That's what it is. And as a practitioner, all we do is we follow the lead of the body by using muscle testing, and we're taken to certain parts of the protocol, wherever we need to go, and we get as many details as the body wants us to get, because sometimes it can be just as general as balancing digestion through connecting liver to pancreas. That's it. But sometimes it can be really specific as to specific cells of the pancreas. So depending which body, what is it that the body needs, and we also always follow the body. We don't manipulate anything. We don't. The client is always aware and awake, and it's more like a health discovery process for both of us.
Can I interrupt you for a second and ask a question?
Absolutely.
And also, if anybody is listening and wants to ask a question, there's a chat room on the side. You can write it in there, and I will ask her. So do I have it right that it's kind of like, you mentioned, like, the gallbladder and the pancreas not working together or something? Is it an actual energy blockage so that, like, transmission is not happening between organs?
Yes, usually that's how we see it in body talk. It's those energy disconnections or or blockages, like messages are not being delivered. There's miscommunication within the body on energy level, which manifests itself as symptoms, certain symptoms. And those, because as I said, everything is interconnected, we need to pinpoint where exactly the connection is not happening, or where exactly the connection is blocked or missing, misaligned somehow off. So, and by using the protocol, we just go step by step, starting with permissions. That's probably one of the features that I like most about bodytalk. We ask permission first before we do anything to any body-mind complex. So, and then once we have that, we just move on through the protocol. Is section a priority? Which part of section is a priority? Then we ask for details. And again, we're taking to as many details as we need to go for the client. So sometimes, recently I had a client who, she's about 40 plus, let's say. Let's just be broad here. I was taken to, I was balancing actually one of the active memories she had, and consciously she didn't even remember but I'm like taken to active memory and life periods, and I'm going through, and her body wanted to be really specific. I was taken to her when she was in her 30s, when she was exactly 36, and I'm getting more details still. I'm like, great. So now I'm into months. Yes. So so I said, so I'm going for months, and I got June as the answer. And I talked to her. I asked her, so is there anything particular that happened in June when you were 36? And she's like, no, not really. I don't think so. But wait, yes, that was the year when then the whole story came up, right? And apparently it was pretty traumatic for her. But consciously she blocked it, and that block subconsciously was causing problems with her body.
So this sounds like it could be really helpful for children who have traumatic births, or who,
absolutely.
Yeah, or who have like early trauma that just it reminds me of some of the work that's been done about how your cells will hold on to trauma.
Absolutely, yes, yes. Because when in bodytalk when we think about memories, that's what you would call, right? Those cellular memories. Our bodies process memories in two ways. One is active processing. Actually, one is passive. So you live through things and you move on, basically. It doesn't bug you anymore. But there are some things that are considered active memories. That's the balancing that I just mentioned with the client, that are, you lived through certain things, but they still have impact on you by being stored within your cellular memory or whatever it is in your body. And they can manifest physical symptoms even years after.
So what are some of you've mentioned a couple of cases, your own son with tantrums and aggression and erratic behavior at school and anxieties. And then you mentioned this other woman who has sort of a trauma. What were her symptoms?
Her symptoms was abdominal pain.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if you could just give us a rundown of like, you know, so I mean, you're talking to a bunch of moms right now, probably, maybe some dads. You know, what kind of symptoms should they have this on their radar for if they're seeing it in themselves or in their kids? What are some of the things that can be useful for?
Well, you know, there's that commercial for Frank's Red Hot Sauce. I'm not sure if you've seen it. I put that on everything, like literally on everything. This can be applied to pretty much anything, even in medical emergencies, which of course you dial 911 first, but then what bodytalk is, and especially with this technique that I'm about to show you, it can bring the body out of the state of shock. So that reduces the injury and injury to the tissues and the body. But it's really great, actually, for that specific reason, for injuries. It has its own, it's called Fast Aid Protocol, which does exactly that. It just helps body to resolve the injury. Well, of course, when you have a major accident and your limb is like no longer there, of course you're gonna call the surgeon. Like, I cannot reattach your arm. I'm good, but I'm not that good. So you will need a medical doctor for that. But I can definitely get rid of the trauma that came as a result of that accident, which was one of my cases too. Like my personal case, I had quite a bit of anxiety around driving. That bodytalk cleared for me. It's also great for maintenance, general maintenance of well-being, really. It's like a massage, can be treated as a massage. But most of my cases, I love working with kids because, yes, as you mentioned, they don't have as much conditioning. So there are less layers of that onion to be peeled to get to the core. And for example, I had a newborn. That was my youngest patient, not counting my younger son, who's been receiving bodytalk sessions throughout pregnancy. So he was not even born and he was already a bodytalk baby. Well, I wasn't going to make a bad mistake with my first one again, so I made sure that I give him the best start possible. And he's a pretty happy kid. So the newborn that I'm talking about, she was about 3 weeks old when her mom asked me to do a session for her. And basically, she just couldn't sleep. Newborns should just sleep, poop, and eat. And she did too, but she just didn't feel like sleeping at all. And it turned out that I was doing the session. The family moved shortly before she was born to a new home. And what came out during the session was I was taken to environment. So again, influence of the environment. Home, her nursery. And I'm like, why? I mean, usually I get this, why am I taken there? But her body knew. And then I'm like, oh, so she's not really happy in this new environment. So actually what I balanced for her was her attitude, or well, it's hard to say attitude in the 3-week-old, but she was just not happy in that new house, new environment. She just didn't know anything about it because she was used to her old place. Even before she was born, she just had this sense of, this is not really my place. So I balanced that, and guess what? She started sleeping through the night. In this, maybe I'll share the testimonial now from another client of mine. This lady she still has lupus because we're working on the case right now. So I'll just share her testimonial here. So this came in literally like yesterday. And so thanks again for the details from my session. A couple of days have passed and I wanted to let the session sink in. There are a couple of details I would like to share with you. One of the things you pointed out was an issue in my ears. It turns out the earaches and sore throat were due to the heartburn caused by the prednisone I take. I'm fascinated that you were able to locate this. Secondly, during the actual session time, I was asleep but having very vivid dreams, excuse me, about getting my period. Sorry, graphic details. I hadn't had one in a couple of months and I could feel I was about to. When I woke up and thought about the dream, I had a memory to do with my best friend during my teens when we discussed periods, etc. Finally, over the last couple of days, I have been feeling better. More energy, more emotionally positive, and even the hives seem to have calmed down. Excuse me. Something or everything I'm doing is playing a role in this burst of improvement. So of course, I would like another session. So she's a 45-year-old female suffering from lupus, as I said. And both those sessions, the session for the newborn and the session for her, were done remotely. That's not a crazy part, but usually I lose listeners. Yes, I can also work remotely with clients. They don't have to come to Mississauga. They don't have to be on my massage table. I can do this remotely, and it works the results are just as good as in studio sessions. So, yep.
You know, sometimes when we hear about things that like we don't understand the science behind, or they just sound like too way out there to be real. You know, we write them off quickly because there's no, like, maybe there's very little research, there's really very little, you know, whatever data about it or whatever. And it just, you know, I always come back to, like, well, if it works, it works, right? Like, people say that about homeopathy too. They're like, well, it's never been proven, and da 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 da, which, you know, there actually is quite a bit of study on it, but or it's just a placebo. And I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't care. If it works, it works. And if you can cure something with nothing, that's even cooler. Right? You know, if I can give them a sugar pill and it calms their fever down, that's even cooler. And it just, that kind of thinking to me is really interesting. Like, we really want to know, well, why something works, to prove to ourselves that it works. But at the end of the day, like your client, if she's feeling better, she's feeling better.
Absolutely. That's what it is. And here's one thing that I would like everybody to really focus on right this moment. As a practitioner, I may do all kinds of things, but ultimately, it's the client that does all the work, whether it's body talk or nutrition, right? It's the client that needs to do the work. And especially with body talk, I don't know what your shifts are going to be. They're your shifts. You're the owner. It's kind of like, you messed it up, so you can fix it. Yes, you can. I can help you get to the bottom of this whole mess, but you can do it safely, no drugs. And yeah, that's another beautiful part about this modality. And actually, when you mentioned studies, a couple of years ago, there was actually an actual study done on body talk, because it's picking up the in medical field. Like, it's been noticed by medical field. So the study was around treating chronic pain or relieving chronic pain with body talk, and we can paste that link to the actual study. If someone is suffering from insomnia, they can read this study all they want. Basically, the conclusion of the study was that body talk, this nothing, can help manage the pain. And because of that, excuse me, well, as body talkers, we knew that, of course, because we've seen it in our clients. But that study, what it did for the whole system is clinics started to be created across US and even in Canada, pain clinics, where people can actually go and get pain relief. There's actually one being created right now in Barrie, so not too far, if anyone's interested. So yes, there are studies, plus, you know, I figured thousands of years of Chinese medicine and Ayurveda plus quantum physics, it can't be all wrong. That's the truth for me.
I just posted the link in the chat box. I don't know if you're going to be kicked off the webinar if you click on that link, or if you can copy and paste it into a file somewhere or something and take a look at it later. But there's the link that Katja sent me to that study. So can you show us how this works? Can you mentioned a real simple technique that you could show us. Could you walk us through it? Sounds like the kind of thing that, like, you sort of have to just dive into and be like, I don't know if this is going to work, but I want to see what it looks like.
Sure, absolutely. Let's do this. I've been waiting for this. So first of all, I would like you to close your eyes just for a sec and take a couple of nice deep breaths. Just like that. And while you're doing that, just observe how your body feels. How do you feel? Did you have a stressful day? Or was it pretty easy and nice and relaxing? Is there any tension in your body? maybe in your neck, maybe in your hips, maybe in your hands. Just notice what how does it feel to be in your body? Do you feel any emotions? And now I'd like you to open up your eyes. Take your hands, your magical tool, and place one of them at the back of your head. So right here, right where your hairline starts, or for some people ends. And now, the other hand, I would like you to spread your fingers wide and tap the head, making sure that you cover both hemispheres of your brain, left and right. Just tap and do that for 2 full breaths. The whole hand placement. So that, what it does, it basically balances the right and left hemisphere of your brain. It targets any cold spots that you may have there, meaning there is lack of lymph flow, blood flow, energy flow, whatever it is. Now take the hand that you were tapping your head with and tap your heart. Tapping the head, what it does, it basically tells your brain, hello, I would like you to listen. Pay attention. We're going to fix something. And tapping the heart stores memory of that. That's all we do in body talk, really. We just tap the crap out of stuff. So, great. So you did probably 2 breaths. Now, next hand placement, we're going to move this hand 1 position up, meaning right here. So right where the first position ended, that's where the next one starts. And again, 2 breaths. You're going to tap your head, spreading your fingers wide. Don't forget that, because you need to cover both hemispheres of your brain. That actually is brilliant for calming down anxieties, because it brings your brain into the parasympathetic mode. And then we will gently tap the heart. If someone has a headache, you actually don't even have to touch the head. You may not be comfortable with that for any reason. You will just tap lightly over the head. So 2 full breaths, and then we will move this hand again 1 position up. And again, we tap. So this one, spreading your fingers wide again, covering both hemispheres of your brain, just like that. Taking nice deep full breaths. One and 2. It's great to do it in the morning and in the evening. In the morning, just to wake up the brain in a nice way. And in the evening, just to calm it down. Just get ready for bed. And again, we're going to finish it off with placing, well, there's one more position, but we will finish the central part with by placing the hand over our forehead. So this in body talk is called cortices technique, which is designed to work on the cortex of the brain, which is where the processing, most of the processing is happening. So again, tapping the head and the heart, 2 nice deep breaths. And we're going to cover sides of the head, so we'll do it now. So both hands on the sides of your head, and now we will use one to tap the head. So the hand here will be placed right above your ear, just like that. So just tap your head, spreading fingers wide again, and tap the heart. Now we will switch hands. So again, hand just above your ear, and we will tap the heart. And that's it. And this can be actually learned by a 2-year-old if they're willing to follow instructions. That is, you can calm your child down. You can use it on yourself, on any family member, actually this technique alone can get you out of that state of shock, either after accident or, well, we tend to live in a state of shock anyway. So it's a great tool to calm you down if you have, that's what I did before the webinar. If you're stressed, just do it. Just do this technique, it will calm you down, it will make your thinking clearer, it will make you focus better. And well, for kids in school, that's brilliant. That's if you have that, if they do that before they go to school, it's incredible. Before they have exams, before they, like, anytime they feel stressed, overwhelmed, you can either do it for them, on them, or you can teach them how to do that themselves. It's brilliant. It really is. Actually, there are studies, there are case studies showing nurses who learned just this technique, not even practitioners, who were working at a coma intensive care unit, and some patients actually woke up from coma just after experiencing this technique. It's incredible. That's the power of your brain. That's the power of making it function optimally.
There's a comment here from Kim. She says, "Thank you for reminding us that so much power is within us if we take the time to, quote, tap into it. I need to do this with my son when we're having trouble transitioning out of the house, which causes tears often."
Absolutely, yes. We are powerful, amazing beings, and we just have to give ourselves a credit for it. And this modality is great in accessing that unlimited potential in us. That's why I love it.
Transitions, I remember one of the first things that I learned as a parent is this: transitions can cause so much stress and separation anxiety between your kids, like even something as simple as not wanting to fall asleep because they're stressed about leaving you and going to this, other place wherever you go when you're sleeping. And then like Kim mentioned, transitioning out of the house or, to school or away from school, we had to pay close attention to how we were transitioning our kids to minimize the stress that caused them, because ultimately that would turn into some kind of behavior thing. And this could add a great deal to that. Does it have any relationship to the EFT, emotional freedom technique, tapping?
I'm not overly familiar with EFT, to be honest. I know it uses tapping as well, but as far as I know, it taps specific points on the body. And it uses, I'm not sure how they can get to what exactly needs to be balanced, whether they just listen to the symptoms, they observe the symptoms, and they apply their knowledge. Like, okay, this is, like, for example, this is the knee pain, so we will tap the knee or whatever. I'm not sure, because I don't really know that, but in Body Talk, for example, you come to see me with a knee pain, but the knee may not even come up during the session, and the knee pain is gone by the end of it. Because what I'm focusing on is really what caused that knee to flare up anyways.
That's very cool. Can you explain just real quickly about what kind of training you go through to become a Body Talk practitioner, and if people want to access somebody, you mentioned they can access you remotely, but if they want to find someone local, like what to look for, what kind of training or letters or experience?
Sure. Okay, so we all have different set of skills as body talkers. We go through is there are basic modules that everybody has to do. That training takes it's a 4-day course, so it's a lot of information during the course, and you learn all the basic techniques during the course. But then to be able to practice, you have to have case studies, you have to do your sessions, so you have to really know your stuff from the course, and then you have to do the course again to make sure that you've got it. Then you can take exam. The organization that governs the Body Talk system is International Body Talk Association, IBA, and we can provide a link for them as well if there's anybody interested. And so once you pass your exam, you are considered certified body talk practitioner. And then you can take up, so those basic things, basic techniques, basic principles behind body talk are taught in those in the first modules. And then you can take your practice anywhere you like. You can specialize in different certain things, or you can be quite general. So to be able to keep up the practice, we also need to do continuous learning. So we always have to go for new courses, new material. We constantly have to educate ourselves and keep practicing, of course. So sometimes it takes, and it depends on the practitioner. For some it takes weeks, for some it takes years. And what to look for in the practitioner? On IBA website, there's a list of practitioners. And it's so you can just look up whether it's Ottawa, Mississauga, wherever you are. It's across the world, actually. Excuse me. Well, the way I like to look at things is whoever you feel the most connection with. From the website, you may not get a full understanding of what they're about to, but at least you get that sense of, maybe I should see them. Some of the practitioners list specific areas that they focus on. Like in my case, I like a lot to work with kids. That's my expertise because I use that expertise every single day for my kids. So I'd like to think that I know what I'm doing in that area. But some specialize in other things. Some specialize in pain management, some in anxiety, some even in cancer. So yeah, just go through the listings on the website, and I'm sure there will be someone just fitting in. And again, it's really cool that you don't have to be confined to a certain area with Body Talk, because you can have a session with someone from China, and it's going to be as effective if that's the person that you need.
That's awesome. Thank you. I am putting up, oops, Kasia is leaving us with a little offer, a little gift. Can you, and so hopefully on the side of your screen, a pop-up box maybe appeared that says download. If not, I will email it to you, because when you signed up for this, you gave me your email address. So if it doesn't work, then I'll just email the link to you. Can you just explain what that is?
The offer? So basically, as Body Talk is, as I told you, can be applied into so many things and so many conditions, I rarely see clients only once. It's usually a discovery process. I like to see it this way. And again, it's all about peeling the onion. So it rarely happens, especially after years of conditioning. It usually doesn't happen in one session. So yes, one single session is effective. I've seen results after, I didn't even have to finish the session to see results sometimes. However, in acute situations, whatever it may be, those sessions, you need 2 or 3, like a series of sessions to really see lasting results. So what I offer here is a package of 4 sessions for resilient family members. And they can be used by a person, by the whole family, up to the person who wants to use it, really. Those are remote sessions, so they're done over phone or Skype. So to access them, all you have to do is just follow the link if it appears in the pop-up, or later down the road you can find it on the website, and just contact me and book a session with me. It's as simple as. Plus, also you will get a bonus technique that I just showed you. This technique, just a reminder as a PDF for you to keep and to use.
Awesome. If hopefully it's on there. I don't know if you have to click on offers to see it, or if you can see it. I've also just put the direct link in the chat room, so it's a link to Katya's site so that you can download her file. So you can, because we're all going to forget how to do that thing. How do your kids respond to it when you do it with them? Do they love it, and do they ask for it, or do you have to like nail them down and tell them we're going to do this now?
Funny you asked. Well, my older one, who's been through this body talk because of his challenges, he's not really like, body talk again. So actually, I do remote sessions for him when he's in school. So I just sit, I tune into his energy, and I just do remote session for him when I have to do it. You gotta do what you gotta do. Like, he's 11-year-old. I can't really, like, he's almost taller than me. He's a tall boy. So physical, no. But for my younger one, who's 5, well, he'll be 5 soon, he actually comes to me when I'm stressed, and he does this. Mom, do this. He comes to me and he does the tapping. So they like it. They like it. I mean, other than sitting still, which they don't have to do. As I said, I can do it remotely. They really don't mind, and it's amazing how they may resist at first, but then at the end of the session, they're so relaxed. And that's the only side effect I accept in any of my sessions. Total relaxation for everybody.
That's an amazing connection that you're establishing with your 11-year-old. Like, that's so cool that he doesn't even know you're doing this. And he could be at school having a horrible day, and you could be fixing that from home. That's like awesome.
Well, I will give you another example. I'm not sure what hockey association is going to say about that, but I actually, because in Body Talk we can do general sessions, or we can focus on something specific. And we always ask what the specific is. So, it's not what I think may be wrong with you, it's what your body wants me to do. But we can also do agendas for certain events. So in his case, he was in playoffs 2 weeks ago, and they lost the game on Saturday. I was away that weekend, but he lost the game on Saturday. He got really upset to the point where he would be screaming at coach, and like, really, I mean, they lost 5-0, so I kind of get it. But then my husband called me, he told me the story. I'm like, okay, he needs a session, because he played another game for the bronze the next day. So I did agenda session for that hockey game. And what agenda session does is make sure that your body functions optimally at a certain moment. So the session actually can be done for the future, just to trigger in the right moment when your body needs it. Well, guess what? They won. The game went into overtime. He scored the winning goal. They got the bronze. No anxiety. Okay? So I'm not sure if that's cheating or not, but hey, whatever it takes. Plus, I had my own agenda session done for my labor. And when I had midwives come in to and work with me, they said, "Mom, are you in labor for real? Because you're laughing and you're just chatty," and the best experience ever, really. Like, it was just like with my second one. So that's what happens when you bring that balance into your body. Your body knows exactly what to do and when to do it. Stop interrupting.
That's awesome, Cassia. Thank you so much for helping us understand this a little bit more. It actually, the last interview that I did was with a chiropractor, and the way I was thinking, the image that came to my mind when she was speaking was that of a snowplow. But one of the things chiropractors do is they just move all the junk out of the way so that your body can do what it's meant to do. And it sounds very similar to Body Talk, which is just clearing pathways, allowing reconnections to happen, and honoring the innate wisdom that the body has, that we're born with, to make those connections. And I mean, I'm hearing you say it can be helpful for when you're pregnant, and when you're in labor, or when you're in pain, or when you have anxiety or depression, or when you have any trauma, pretty much anything. that is interfering with your body's ability to stay balanced, that this can be a really helpful tool. So thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. As I mentioned at the beginning, all of these, the Resilient Family interviews can be found on they're archived on the Raising Resilience membership site, which you can access through my website, which is justsherman.com. And you can also find out about more of these webinars on our Facebook page, our Facebook group, which is Raising Resilience. So you can search for that on Facebook and join that, so you can stay notified of all of these great webinars. So thank you again so much. I'm going to put your little bio and all your contact information with the replay so people can get in touch.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a blast.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to end the broadcast. Thank you everybody for coming. Thank you for those of you who are watching this on the replay, and I'll see you next time. Don't go anywhere, Katya.